Today we're taking a look at the 2022 Digital React from Trophy Ridge. Welcome back to Mike's Archery's YouTube, and today we are taking a look at the brand new Digital React from Trophy Ridge. Now this is a brand new sight that they've come out with for the 2022 season, and it is quite a bit different than anything else you've seen. It is a full digital readout sight. Now, it is available in a single pin and a 3-pin or trio model as they call it, and you can get that in a 10 thousandths or 19 thousandths fiber optic pin size on the single, and then on the trio it's going to come in a 10 thousandths model, but you can get right or left-handed, so they've got everything for everybody out there. Now this is basically a standard driver single pin or triple pin sight, just as you've seen with anybody else's, but it has that digital readout. Now it does have a large micro drive wheel on the back, and we just wanted to make it clear that it is very similar to everything that you've seen before. It's still a standard dial pin sight that you're going to be able to run that sight up and down to get your yardages, and it's still going to have a standard readout on the back, so you can put a sight tape on the back like you have with any of your other sights, but then it's got the large digital readout on the front, making it a whole lot easier to see. It's LED backlit, so it's just really nice to be able to use it, be able to see it, and functionally it just works a little easier and better than a standard mover sight. Now we did want to make it clear this is not a range finding sight. It's not something comparable to like the Burris or even the Garmin. It doesn't have a lot of those features. It doesn't have a rangefinder built into it. It's still just a basic standard sight with that digital readout. Now as a single pin or a 3-pin sight, there's some goods and bads, pros and cons if you will, on what to use in a single or a 3-pin mover sight, or whether to use a fixed pin sight. And obviously accuracy with a single pin sight, if you're going to be able to move this to specific yardages on a 1 or half yard increment, then it's going to be very accurate. You're going to be able to center out your peep, always have the pin in the center of that housing. And from a target standpoint or shooting the range or anything like that, it's going to make a much more accurate shot. Now with a single pin mover from a hunting standpoint, there's pros and cons. If you're hunting deer or something that you know the distances are going to be fairly close, obviously a single pin sight is great. But on a moving standpoint, if objects are moving, animals are moving, spot and stalk situations, it may not be the best option with a single pin. And that 3-pin option is going to give you your 20, 30, and 40 yard pin, and then you're going to be able to drive that sight out to longer distances if you need it. So there's a couple options there for you in this sight, and that's something you're going to have to make the choice as to what is going to fit your best situation for you. Now this is a React sight, so if you've been familiar with Trophy Ridge's React system in the past, this has all that React technology built into this digital readout sight. So you're going to be able to set this sight up very easily. It's going to automatically calculate those distances for you, as you have seen with the other React Pros and the React single pins and 5-pins. You're going to be able to set a 20, a 30, and maybe even a 40 to tweak it a little bit, and your pins are going to be set all the way out to the longest distance depending on the speed of your bow, which makes it really convenient, really easy, really fast and simple to set up, giving you accuracy at all those distances without the trouble of going back and constantly shooting a ton of arrows trying to get everything dialed in for your distance. Now the sight does have a single locking mechanism on the large wheel. It's going to be your large dial on the back, which that's real nice. And then it is a fully micro drive sight up front here, and it is just a locking knob on the front. You're going to be able to do your vertical adjustments on that micro drive screw, and also your windage adjustments, your left and right on that micro drive screw, with just a single lockdown toolless micro adjust ability there on that front end. So it just makes it really convenient, really easy to make those large adjustments or even micro tuning those adjustments. The sight also does have obviously first and second axis, but does have your third axis ability on here. So with your level and your third axis on here, you're going to be able to set this sight up for long distance shooting and be very accurate for those angled up and downhill shots. It's great that they've kept that third axis. There's even a lot of high-end sights that don't have your third axis adjustment on it, and Trophy Ridge has been great about keeping all those adjustments so you can be exceptionally accurate with their products. Now with this new setup and with the new React technology in this digital, you're going to be able to set this up in 3 simple steps on that readout. You're going to be able to set your 20-yard pin at the top of that micro adjustment, and then once you move your windage and elevation to set that pin with the housing, then you're going to be able to shoot, if you have a chronograph available, shoot that bow over a chronograph, get your exact speed, program that speed into this sight, and then it is going to give you accurate distances all the way out to 100 yards depending on the speed of your bow. Now, if for some reason you don't have a chronograph available, you can still set this as you have with React sights in the past, and that is just going to be able to set that 20-yard pin as you did at first, go back to 30 yards, and then calibrate that sight for your 30-yard pin, and then go back to 40 yards, calibrate it for there, and you can kind of tweak those a little bit as you go back, making those adjustments inside the React technology and inside those settings on the mode buttons to get those dialed in for all those distances all the way out. And then it's going to set the distances in between those for you. Now, one of the features is that you are going to be able to adjust this sight once you have it calibrated and set for your bow in either full 1 yard increments, or you can even have it with half-yard increments. If you're using this on the range or trying to target shoot and want to be very exact, you can program this and make those changes between it. You can also set it for either yards or meters. So depending on what your setting is, or if you're possibly international and want to set this up for meters, you can go either way with this sight. Now, one of the other great features that we noticed about this sight in setting it up was the customizable profiles. You're able to have 5 customizable profiles on this sight, meaning if you are shooting a couple different arrows or even a couple different bows, you're going to be able to set this sight up under those 5 different profile settings. Let's say you've got your hunting arrow that weighs 450 or 475 grains, and then you've got your 3D arrow that is maybe set up and you're shooting a 380 grain arrow or something like that at a much higher speed. Or if you've even got an indoor arrow profile and you're shooting 20 yards indoor with a fat shaft of some type, you're going to be able to program all those profiles into this sight, set it up for those different arrow configurations, and be accurate with all of them. And even if you want to swap it between bows, let's say you've got a target bow and you've got a hunting bow and you want to swap this sight back and forth between those bows, again, setting those profiles for each of those bows, you're going to be able to take that sight off one bow, mount it right back on the other with the screws, lock it right in, and you can change that profile, being able to use it on multiple bows. So for a lot of guys, this is going to be a great feature where you're not having multiple sights for different situations. Now, in that customizable profile, one of the other things we noticed was the speed setting. Now, a lot of these driver sights, you're really not able to get a lower speed bow. And as we were going through the settings and setting it up, the highest speed rating that this will calibrate for is 400 feet per second. Now, I don't know any compounds out there that are reaching that at this point, but if you're shooting a high speed bow and you're seeing those 350, 340 numbers, it's going to calibrate to your bow. But what we thought more importantly was for some of you folks out there that are shooting lighter poundages, or some of the ladies or even kids that are shooting lighter poundages and slower speeds, or if you're shooting a really heavy arrow, you know, following that trend of the FOC and whatnot, shooting a 700-800 grain arrow, and you're getting lower speeds, a lot of these sights will not adjust for that. This sight will adjust all the way down to 150 feet per second and still calibrating those distances. Now, obviously, you won't get as long of a distance if you're on those slower speeds because you're just going to run out of travel on it. But just know that you have that opportunity to use this sight, calibrate it, and shoot it accurately even at lower speeds. Now, with that digital LED readout, as soon as you touch your dial on the back, it is going to light up if that sight has already been powered on and is in standby mode. It's going to light up for you so you can see those yardages that you're turning to very easily and very quickly and accurately. Now, if for some reason that were to fail, and we have talked to Trophy Ridge, and the battery life on this sight is somewhere around 2 to 3 days in standby mode, so there really shouldn't be an issue of it dying on you in the field. And it does have a battery indicator right there on the LED screen, so you can see right where you're at with battery levels. But with all that, you're going to be able to take this sight, use it all day long. But if it does fail on you and that electronics or the battery dies and you weren't paying attention, you can still have your standard tape on the back of this sight like any traditional mover sight. So that's a really nice feature, that you always have the ability to move this sight and be accurate with it. Now, with that digital screen, it comes with 6 backlit LED colors, and those are from red to yellow and some aqua blue and a green. So you can kind of set this back to whatever color looks best to you, stands out best to you, and also customize it for what you like the best. It also has 4 brightness settings. So if you find yourself in a blind or maybe on a bright day, depending on which way you need to go, you can tone that brightness down or bring it up so you can see those numbers clearly. And as you can see on this, as you're setting things up and going through those modes, it's a pretty simple 3-button function. We've been playing with it here as we've been messing with it, and it's just pretty simple with a couple things: a mode and a setting button and a power button. and just making quick and easy to go through those functions, getting everything set up. Now for recharging this, like we said, the battery life is somewhere between 2 and 3 days, but to recharge it is on just a standard USB cord. It comes with that 6-foot charging cord. You plug it right into the back of the sight here, and that's just going to allow you to charge this at any point, whether you need a wall charger or even just a USB port to use it off a power pack or something of that nature. But you can pretty much keep this charged up, and if you have some standard USB chargers, they're going to work with this sight, so you don't have to have some special charging adapter to keep it charged up. Now, one of the other things we wanted to compare, we took this sight and we got a weight on it. Now, Trophy Ridge usually doesn't really publish any weights. In fact, most people don't publish a lot of weights on their sights. And out of the box with the fixed plate, we got 12.8 ounces. Now, it is going to be available with the new Matthews bridge lock mount. And if you are shooting one of those new Matthews and you want to slide it right in there, you can purchase that bridge lock mount separate, and it will actually work on the digital reacts as well as any of the older reacts if you've had those. Take that bracket off, slide that bridge lock mount on, put it right in the riser of your Matthews bow. And it does make it just a little bit lighter at 12.1 ounces. And so you're going to save a couple ounces if you're using that system. They're also coming with a dovetail mount available separate that you can mount on this as well as some of your other sights if you have them. And you can get that bridge lock for some of you in their fixed 3 and fixed 5 sights. So some of their lower end sights, you can get that bridge lock adapter for those as well. But really, it's the weight of this sight is not that bad. We pulled some other sights off the shelf just to kind of give you a comparison. One of the lightest that we saw was that new Excel carbon bridge lock. For the Matthews, it's at 7.7 ounces. But if you're looking at a more traditional sight like a Spot Hog Fast Eddy, it came in at 11.1 ounces, or maybe an HHA Tetra, we threw that one on there and it was 11.4 ounces. So there really is not a huge difference in weight from a traditional sight into this digital react, but you are getting that react technology. So there's a lot more microdrive screws and things in there that are beefing the weight up, but not substantially. So if you're shooting one of those higher end target sights that would be comparable to this, really you're not losing much as far as adding extra weight to your bow. Now, as we were using this sight and going through the setups, everything is extremely smooth. That dial wheel is extremely accurate. You're not getting any slop or play in this front end, as well as the microdrive screws. It's just extremely well made from Trophy Ridge. Now, in comparison to some of the other sights out there, this is going to be a high-end sight. You're going to be paying for that React technology as well as that digital built into it. And if you're looking at one of the digital React single pins, the MAP retail on that is going to be $359.99. And if you're looking at one of the trios, it's coming in at $379.99. So this is not one of your low-end sights for sure, but for the React technology, all the digital technology and the features that are packed into this sight, we expected it to be right there with all your high-end sights. But it's not any worse than anything else out there. If you're looking at one of those Spot Hogs or an HHA or an Excel, they're all in that $350 to $500 range. So really, it's coming in very competitively with some extra features that you're not seeing out of the competition. So if you think one of these new digital React sights is for you, then give us a call here at Mike's Archery and we'll be glad to get you set up with one.